From 1922 until 1991, the Soviet Union, also known as the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, was a federal socialist state. The majority of its territory, which included much of the former Tsarist Russian Empire's landmass, was in Eurasia. The Communist Party of the Soviet Union, which at its height dominated 15 republics unified by communist ideology, was the dominant force in the Soviet Union, USSR. The nation was well recognized for its highly developed military-industrial complex, substantial social welfare programs, and controlled command economy. It was also notorious for its widespread propaganda, political repression, and violations of human rights. With the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, numerous sovereign nations, notably Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, came into existence. How USSR disintegrated. The Soviet Union was destroyed in 1991 as a result of the geopolitical event known as the USSR's breakup. Many elements, including economic, political, and social problems, contributed to the collapse. For many years, the Soviet Union has struggled economically with falling oil prices, ongoing trade deficits, and ongoing inflation. Through initiatives like perestroika, restructuring, and glasnost, openness, the Soviet leadership tried to solve these problems, but these changes proved to be insufficient. Other factions inside the Soviet Union were also exerting increasing political pressure on the Soviet administration. There were rising racial tensions, independence movements, and democratic demands. The failure of a coup attempt by hardline communist groups in 1991 was the catalyst for the USSR's fall. As a result, the Soviet Union's leadership became weaker and more Soviet republics were given the authority to proclaim their independence. On December 25, 1991, Mikhail Gorbachev, the Soviet Union's president, announced his resignation. Russia succeeded the Soviet Union as an independent state when the republics of the Soviet Union achieved independence. Eastern Europe, Central Asia, and the Caucasus saw the rise of new states as a result of the fall of the USSR, which had important geopolitical repercussions. First Russian Federation leader. Boris Yeltsin became the leader of Russia after the disintegration of the USSR in 1991. Boris Yeltsin was a Russian politician and the first president of the Russian Federation from 1991 to 1999. He played a key role in the collapse of the Soviet Union and the transition of Russia from a communist country to a democratic nation. Yeltsin was known for his controversial policies, economic reforms, and turbulent leadership style. He passed away in 2007. After Boris Yeltsin, Vladimir Putin became the second Russian president. How Vladimir Putin became second president. Vladimir Putin, a former KGB agent, entered politics during the 1990s as an advisor to St. Petersburg Mayor Anatoly Sobchak. He quickly rose through the ranks of the Russian government, serving as the director of the Federal Security Service, FSB, the successor agency to the KGB, in 1998. In August 1999, then-President Boris Yeltsin appointed Putin as his prime minister, and when Yeltsin resigned on December 31, 1999, Putin became acting president. In March 2000, Putin was elected president with almost 53% of the vote, and he was re-elected in 2004 with over 71% of the vote. During his presidency, Putin consolidated power and took a hardline approach to fight terrorism and quelling separatist movements in Chechnya. He also implemented economic reforms and oversaw a period of sustained economic growth in Russia. In 2008, Putin was forced to step down as president due to term limits, but he remained a powerful figure as prime minister under his hand-picked successor, Dmitry Medvedev. In 2012, Putin was again elected president, and he has remained in office ever since. Putin's ascent to the presidency was the culmination of years of strategic maneuvering within the Russian government and a widespread perception among the Russian people that he was a strong leader who could restore stability and establish order in a country that had been plagued by political and economic turmoil after the collapse of the Soviet Union. But how is Dmitry Medvedev? Dmitry Medvedev is a Russian politician who served as the third president of Russia from 2008 to 2012, and as Prime Minister of Russia from 2012 to 2020. He has been a prominent figure in Russian politics and government for many years, and has played a significant role in shaping the country's economic policies and modernization efforts. Medvedev is considered to be a key ally of Vladimir Putin, and has been involved in various political and economic reforms in Russia. However, his leadership has been criticized by some for alleged corruption and lack of progress in certain areas. His longtime political rival. Who is he? Alexei Navalny is a Russian political activist, opposition leader, and anti-corruption activist. He has been a major critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin and his party, United Russia. Navalny gained prominence in Russia as a blogger, where he exposed corruption in the government and called for political reforms. He has also led anti-government protests across Russia. Navalny has been arrested several times for his activism, and has been jailed for various charges. In August 2020, he was poisoned with a nerve agent believed to have been administered by Russian security agents, and was flown to Germany for treatment. He returned to Russia in January 2021 and was arrested upon his arrival. He is currently serving a prison sentence for violating his parole. Vladimir Putin and Xi's friendship. Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping have developed a close friendship in recent years that has been characterized by frequent personal meetings and high-level diplomatic cooperation. Both leaders share a common interest in promoting economic growth, strengthening military capabilities, and expanding their country's international influence. This has led to a deepening of bilateral ties between Russia and China, with joint military exercises, energy deals, and partnerships in areas such as technology, infrastructure, and education. In addition to their shared interests, Putin and Xi have also developed a strong personal rapport, with their meetings often featuring displays of warmth and camaraderie. This has been facilitated by Putin's long-standing interest in Chinese culture and history, as well as his admiration for Xi's leadership style and vision for China's future. Some observers have expressed concerns about the Putin-Xi friendship, however, arguing that it could create an axis of authoritarianism that undermines global democracy and human rights. The Russia President Putin is still in power, and most European countries thought Russia was a geographical threat. They all put blame for this tension on Vladimir Putin's shoulder.